Today we're going to show you how to install a rocker style switch Bluetooth controller in your UTV. The Bluetooth controller allows you to connect a smart device like a phone or tablet to the controller through Bluetooth, and then the controller has RCA output so it can get connected to an external amp and speakers in your UTV. This controller basically takes the place of having to install a full head unit in your UTV and allows you to just have a controller and an amplifier to power your home music system. Now we have another video in our UTV series titled How to Install an Amplifier in Your UTV, so make sure you watch that video first if you are installing an amp in your UTV. And if you're looking for help installing speakers in your UTV, check out the videos we have on that as well. In this installation video, we are going to be installing the Bluetooth controller and then connecting it to our amp that is powering our speakers in our setup. We will be using an MB Quart Bluetooth controller, but the tips and tricks will apply to any UTV compatible Bluetooth controllers. So let's get to it. Step 1. So the first step is to figure out where the removable switch panels are on your UTV. In most cases, it is in the middle of the dashboard, typically under the spot where you would mount a head unit. Now most UTVs have multiple switch panels you can remove, so you can add different rocker style switches. For our Bluetooth controller, we just need to remove one switch panel. Once you have the panel removed, you can feed the Bluetooth controller through the open panel like this. Make sure you feed all of the wiring through so that you can hide it behind the paneling. And then you're going to push the controller in so it sits flush and tight in the paneling. Once you have the controller in, you can move on to wiring. Step 2. The wiring for this controller is pretty simple. There is a red power wire, a black ground wire, an orange accessory wire, and a blue remote out wire. For the red power wire and black ground wire, we are going to run them straight to the positive and negative terminals on our UTV's battery. In this instance, the battery was under the driver's seat. Now, whenever running power wires to the battery, you can always disconnect the battery as an extra precaution, but if you do not disconnect the battery, don't worry, you're not doing anything wrong. So now that we know we need to run the red power wire and the black ground wire to the terminals of the battery at this point, identify if you have enough wire to make a full run. If you do not, you can always take additional wire to extend the power and ground wires. You can even crimp on O-rings to the power and ground wire on the ends that are being connected to the battery terminals for a quick installation. So once you have the red power wire on the positive terminal of the battery and the black ground wire on the negative terminal of the battery, it's time to move on to the orange accessory line. In our UTV, there's a dedicated accessory line under the hood of the UTV, so we took some more wire to extend the orange accessory line and ran it through the firewall on the driver's side to under the hood of the UTV so we could attach it to the accessory line here. This accessory line is basically what turns on the controller when you turn the keys in the ignition of your UTV. If the UTV does not have a dedicated accessory line, you could also run the accessory wire to the positive terminal of the battery. But just remember, you have to have an on and off switch on the Bluetooth controller so you make sure you don't drain the UTV's battery. The last line we have to run is our blue remote line from our Bluetooth controller into the remote terminal on our amplifier. This is used to turn our amp on or off when we power our Bluetooth controller on or off. In our UTV, we installed the amplifier in the back wall behind the driver and passenger seat, but depending on where you install it, you just need to make sure you have enough wire to run the blue remote line to the remote terminal on your amp. And if you need more wire, you can always extend the line by adding more wire like this. For all the wires you've run, just make sure you've run them in a way that can easily be hidden alongside the UTV's paneling and roll bars. You can always use zip ties to ensure that all of the wiring is very secure and will not get disconnected during off-road moments. Also, whenever you are extending wires, make sure to use electrical tape to seal all of the connections and not leave them exposed. After you have the blue remote line installed into your amplifier, the last step is to run a pair of RCA cables out of the Bluetooth controller into the RCA inputs on your amplifier. This is what's going to bring the music signal from the Bluetooth controller to your amp. Just take your RCA cables, plug one end into the Bluetooth controller's RCA outputs here, and then the other end you're going to plug into the RCA inputs on your amplifier like this. Now, a quick pro tip: if you're not using high quality shielded RCA cables, you might want to run them on the opposite side of where you've run your power and ground lines in the rest of your installation. This will just ensure there is no noise or any additional humming that you might hear coming through your speakers. But with your RCA cables now plugged in, you are ready to listen to some music. So hopefully this video showed you how easy it is to install a rocker style switch Bluetooth controller in your UTV. But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support tech team through phone or email. and check out the rest of the videos in our UTV install series. We'll see you guys in the next one.